So, all right, that was a great Mountain West basketball game, and pretty much what I expected. I think there's two really good teams and two teams that can really guard, and I think there was a couple spurts by us, and one in the first half, one in the second half, that were probably just the difference in the game.
Leon, what did you think of your defense tonight?
Well, it keeps getting better, and you needed every stop down the stretch, and that's how Mountain West games are, like that. And if you can't get stops when you need them most, that's you're in trouble. And we have a team that hangs their hat on that. And I think the experience of what we had to do in the preseason, it seemed like we were in a million of these games, and so you got to be comfortable in that, and you got to be comfortable when they make that run that we can, hunker down, slap the floor, and go out and get a stop when we need it. And we got a couple of them down the stretch that were huge.
Can this be the best defense you've had here? Like, is it on that way, Leon?
Well, it's the best because it's the freshest in my mind. I know that, but you go back to Derek's team. That team the numbers that they put on people were amazing as far as the how little points we gave up. This team has more of a presence about them where it just seems hard to score. Because even, I thought in the first half, they threw in some shots at the end of the shot clock that were like, well, they can't make that one consistently. And they made some of those stuff. They hit a three right at the end, and I think they had two of those. So I think this team has a presence about them and a physicality about them. And they're good, we move our feet really well. They're good enough athletes that we can guard that way without fouling.
Seems like the best defense you guys were playing were in the final 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That's it's happened a few times this season. What is it in those late game situations that they really step it up? And
I just think it's number one, we got competitive guys. I mean, we've had practices that they convinced me of that, number one. And so they're really competitive, but like I said, I think there's a belief in what we're doing. And it took me, it takes all of us to be comfortable with that, knowing that that's what we can hang our hat on. That last 5 minutes, we're pretty comfortable knowing that we can go get a stop, and we will go get a stop. And so I think to a man, all 23 of us know that, hey, we're where we want to be with 5 minutes to go, tied, because we're going to get stops.
You said quite a bit that Marcus Shaver Jr. has, been lights out in practice in certain situations.
Yeah.
And he did that again tonight with kind of those two buckets. He had the jumper.
And the pass late in the shot clock, I thought that was huge. He hit the roller late, and Milan got a dunk, and I thought that was a pretty special play by him. And I rode him hard and put him away wet at halftime. He was pretty, because the E-Man was in a little bit of foul trouble, and that group was making a run, so I just stayed with that a little bit, and I thought Marcus did a great job getting us through that to halftime.
You talk about it a lot, but kind of sandwiching the two Marcus Shaver shots there that put you up 55-50 were two Dagenhart steals. Although he only had two big shots tonight, kind of some of those behind the scenes moments.
Yeah, and he does what he does, and he does it pretty dang consistently. And so, he did some great things that that maybe don't show up in the way when one of the things you look at is when you look at our rebounding, and we were plus 13 on the glass, which I thought was huge because they're one of the better rebounding teams, and so to have that big of an advantage, and we got some timely offensive ones too, but to have that big of an advantage, I think, is huge. And I just think when you look at the tape, you'll find that Tyson does his job every single time, blocks out every single time, and that's really unique for a freshman to be able to understand how you got to do that the whole game.
what did you think of the shot selection in the first half? I mean, you guys didn't have a lot of shots, but the ones you did have, you were making.
Right, yeah, if we could hold on to the ball a little bit, but they're, you got to credit their defense. They're a good defensive team. When we did the right things, we shot like 65%. I mean, and when we just made the simple plays, and teams are going to scout a boot, teams are going to pack the paint when he drives, and when he made the simple plays, we got great shots. And so, he's one of the best drivers in the country, and from when he gets going downhill, and so we're not going to take that away from him. That's a weapon, but he's got to be able to, you know, on those nights when they're gonna all line up and take charges on him and to rake him and that kind of thing, that's where he's just gotta be happy to make the simple plays. He made some great ones in the first half.
Along those same lines, Abu and Tyson both 6 points, you know, getting other guys involved in the offense, just how big was that for you guys?
Right, and I think we have a balance to us that there's a lot of, you know, I think out of the 7 guys we played, there's a lot of guys that can get 20 on a given night, and, you know, so we can have different guys. That's what makes us hard to guard.
Leon, what'd you think of Mladen tonight?
He's, you know, he doesn't, I mean, I give him a lot of credit, and but for how valuable he is defensively, I mean, that's a big beast that you're running into every time, because, you know, Orlando's a really good player, and he can score a lot of different ways, and, you know, to have a guy like Mladen in there to hold down the forward and, you know, the rebounds that he gets and the rebounds that he, you know, that big offensive rebound late in the second half was huge.
What's it like having Kijev's dad here hanging out?
It's the best. It's pretty special, and you know, you see why Abu is who he is. You know, I told his dad he's got a lot to be proud of with that one. So, and the best thing about it is I think he thought my name was Lion, so I'm kind of going by that. I kind of stuck. I think I really like it. So. That's a good name for me. I like that. Thank you for that. In fact, I had a lion necklace on the other day, so in practice. So I kind of prefer that. It has a certain power to it. I like.
Are you gonna have to run with 7 in this rotation for a while longer? Is it are we gonna see?
Play's got a hurt ankle, and you know, we got guys that are right there, and they're practicing good. And they're getting better, and we've had some injuries that. You know, that set those guys back a little bit, and so no, that's not you. That's pretty hard to do through 18 games, and so I don't think that's a set in stone thing for the rest of the year.
Speaking of those 18 games, top to bottom, what are your thoughts on this league?
Oh, it's a competitive league. I mean, you know, there's one that we got that. Okay, now the other 10 teams have to go get them. They're gonna be right there in the mix. That kind of team that can guard like that, and you know, has got one of the best players in the league, and those other guys are really, really good too. So they're gonna drive a hard bargain at everybody.